Ever seen $1 million machine brought down by something as basic as rainwater or a bad parking job? From careless stunts to flat-out bad luck, the world of supercars isn't always glamorous. These machines might scream wealth and performance, but when things go wrong, they go expensively wrong. Let's kick things off with a painful dose of luxury car regret. In this lineup of fails, you'll see supercars humbled in ways that'll make you wince. Crashes, carbon fiber tears, and the kind of damage that costs more than most houses. And trust me, it only gets crazier from here. Picture this: a driver trying to park their flashy ride with style. One wrong angle, and bam! Scratched panels, shattered pride, and a very expensive oops. Who knew parking could cost you tens of thousands? Then there's the McLaren owner who parked irresponsibly, vanished for a bit, and came back to a heartbreaking scene. His exotic car scratched, dented, and done for. Was it vandalized? Bumped? Either way, the damage was brutal. And speaking of heartbreak, imagine finding your Lamborghini trashed, stolen, vandalized. The details are blurry, but the damage is crystal clear. That sleek beast is now barely recognizable. And finally, a Rolls-Royce owner learned the hard way. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's waterproof. Waterlogged and ruined, that car floated its way straight into a luxury nightmare. Stay tuned, because what's coming next makes these first 5 look like warm-ups. Just when you thought things couldn't get more bizarre, enter the Civic on Lambo situation. A Honda Civic somehow ends up sitting on top of a Lamborghini after a rear-end collision. Yes, you heard that right. A budget compact car mounted a supercar like it was claiming dominance. The Lambo owner? Unbothered. He casually mentions he's just going to buy another. Must be nice. But not all supercar drivers take the hits with grace. One guy decided to flex his V12 power for a small crowd gathered nearby. He revved the engine, took the corner a little too hard, and completely misjudged the turn, slamming directly into a pole with a thud that echoed across the block. The showboating ended faster than the engine could roar. What started as a moment to impress became a very expensive mistake. Flex turned fail real quick, because here's the truth. It's one thing to own a beast of a machine. It's a whole different story when it comes to controlling it. And it's not always the owners making the mess. Sometimes the responsibility falls into the hands of someone who should know better, like a mechanic working on a sleek Corvette who forgot one very crucial step: securing the car before performing a routine inspection. One tiny lapse. That's all it took. The car rolled off, slammed into a wall, and ended up with damage that likely cost more than the average used car. Thousands were gone, and the car hadn't even left the garage. Now imagine stepping outside after a storm, ready to admire your prized exotic beauty, only to find it submerged up to the windows. That's exactly what happened when multiple high-end vehicles, parked in low-lying zones, got swallowed by sudden floods. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, even a couple of Rolls-Royces were seen floating like sad luxury boys. There's no flexing when your Lambo's going scuba diving. One viewer commented, "Guess they upgraded from horsepower to boat mode." And speaking of regret, you'd think supercar stunt drivers are fearless, right? Not always. One driver had a change of heart mid-launch during a stunt event, literally backed out mid-air. The result was a bizarre, half-committed jump that ended in shattered parts and a bruised ego. Lesson? If you're not sure, maybe don't fly through the air in a car. Speaking of bruised egos, another blow came during a spontaneous race between an Aston Martin and a Ford Mustang. While everyone expected the Aston to dominate with grace and style, the Mustang left it in the dust. Sometimes it's not about elegance, it's about raw speed. And Aston's fanbase? They were not thrilled with the outcome. And then there's the Lamborghini incident that still makes people wince. The car's iconic scissor door, the signature look, the ultimate flex, was completely torn off in a bizarre parking lot mishap. One wrong move, one moment of bad luck, and that legendary entrance was ripped from reality in seconds. It wasn't just a door, it was a status symbol, and it was gone just like that. But what's coming up next makes all that look like minor fender benders. Here's the thing about drifting in the rain. It looks cool in video games and movie chase scenes, but in real life, it's a lot messier. One overconfident driver attempted to execute the perfect rainy day drift in front of a group of spectators. He thought the slick pavement would add just the right cinematic touch. And it did add drama, just not the kind he was hoping for. The tires lost grip, the car spun like a top, and then bam. It slammed into a barrier like it was being pulled by magnets. That's what happens when ego outruns skill and when adrenaline outweighs common sense. The only thing that drifted was his pride, right into embarrassment. But for some, it's not rain, it's dirt. Someone actually took a Lamborghini off-road, no joke, like trying to ride a racehorse through a swamp. The outcome? Ripped bumpers, busted suspension, and what looked like emotional damage. And then there's this classic. An Italian driver misreads road signs, ending up on a pedestrian pathway. Panic sets in. The crowd watches. A moment later, crash. Language barriers are real, but apparently, so are directional ones. Now, brace yourself for this. One Lambo crash was so intense, it literally split the car in two. Yes, two separate pieces, sitting yards apart. It looked like a magic trick gone wrong. The good news? The driver actually walked away. Back to Rolls-Royce, because apparently these things are magnets for misfortune. Another one bit the dust, this time from an awkward traffic blunder. Maybe it's just bad luck, or maybe RR owners just attract chaos. Meanwhile, one supercar found itself trapped under a parking garage entrance. Those low ground clearances might look sleek, but they turn any speed bump into a boss battle. This one didn't make it out without some serious underbelly scars. Now this one's a head scratcher. A Bugatti owner revs up in front of a crowd, steps out to record their own car, and accidentally hits it with the camera tripod. Thousands in cosmetic damage, all for a clip that no one asked for. And yes, another Lamborghini, another rainy disaster. You'd think supercars and rain would break up by now, but no. Slick roads, rear-wheel drive, and overconfidence, that combo always ends badly. But what happens when these failures go viral? You'll want to stick around. When one driver messes up, it's a problem. When do 5 do it in a row? That's a domino effect crash. It started with one hard brake. Then, bam! Another car slams in. Then, another. And another. Like watching someone knock over a line of luxury dominoes, except each one costs more than your house. At some point, you stop counting and just start cringing. Now, Dubai's known for its flashy supercars, but apparently not its drainage system. A Porsche was spotted floating down a flooded street like it was trying out for a role in Fast and Flotation. Dubai Drift. Some said it was the world's first amphibious Porsche. Others just cried quietly into their car insurance forms. Speaking of tears, one McLaren got absolutely wrecked, and the owner? Totally unbothered. Just walked off like he had 5 more parked at home. Maybe it's insurance, maybe it's attitude, maybe it's just billionaire problems. Either way, the car was toast, and he was already on his phone, probably ordering another one. But let's not forget the Ferrari that took a detour, straight onto a construction site. Spoiler alert, it didn't end well. Those low-profile tires and that fancy front end weren't built for gravel and potholes. 5 feet in, the undercarriage surrendered. Somewhere, Enzo Ferrari rolled over in his grave. Meanwhile, another supercar had its moment. A mid-roof transformation. The convertible top stuttered, jerked, then got stuck halfway. The driver tried everything. From tapping buttons to gentle pleading, nothing worked. The roof just hung there like a broken eyelid, flapping sadly in the breeze. Expensive? Yes. Practical? Not even close. And then there's this guy, struggling to inflate a tire on a $300,000 car. It looked more like a CrossFit session than a pit stop. After several tries, he gave up and just sat down, sweating. Maybe next time, just call roadside assistance, or join a gym that doesn't involve a Bugatti. Finally, we wrap things up with yet another Ferrari wreck. This one's special because the crash was 100% avoidable. The driver was weaving through traffic, showing off, until physics said, nope. The result? A crushed front end, a snapped axle, and one very long, awkward conversation with the police. And the internet, of course, had a field day. And there you have it. Some of the most painful supercar fails caught on camera. Have a favorite moment, or maybe one that made you flinch? Drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more jaw-dropping car moments you won't believe actually happened.